Hello mga Doc, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Okay. So, welcome again to our review. Tuloy-tuloy na review, no? Hopefully hindi po nababago ang inyong schedule like your body clock dahil sa different schedules natin. But I'm trying my best na mag-stick tayo sa 4 a.m. at 3 a.m. This week. Dr. Erla requested na different schedule. So, I just want to still fill in this uh, schedules na na-miss natin, no? And thank you very much for attending last night's presentation, no? Hopefully madami kayong natutunan doon and hopefully merong lumabas na topic na na-discuss natin kahapon doon sa board exam ninyo, no? So, this morning I will be giving some supplementary lecture with regard to microbiology. You know, as I said in the chat, microbiology is quite difficult and microbiology got the higher percentage doon sa inyong total score or total average sa board exam. I think 14% ang niyang percentage, no, compared to other subjects na mga 10% lang. So let's continue this morning. There are topics na different from that of a typical review. I just lifted these topics from the table of specifications and sometimes makikita nyo hindi siya tuloy-tuloy. Yung topic ay hindi siya tuloy-tuloy. Just some topics na itong topic na to hindi siya related doon sa susunod or yung previous na topic na nandito sa aking presentation. Okay? So let's start. With HACCP. I asked the company last night about the quality control mechanism na ginagawa nila or ginagamit nila or they're employing sa kanilang company. Let's say food or feed production, example sa yung nang ginagawa nila yung feed production. So sa feed production there are some steps na dapat laging chine-check to prevent some problems, no, like for example like contamination, no. Sa human, ginagamit din yung itong HACCP na it is a management system in which food safety is addressed through analysis and control of biological, chemical, and physical hazards from raw material production, procurement and handling to manufacturing, distribution, and consumption of the finished product, no? Ang pinaka-example nito na nakikita natin sa Gardenia or yung bread company na Gardenia, no? They are using HACCP to make sure that they have a quality and safe produce, no? So itong HACCP na to, there are 7 principles kung saan pwede nating makita yung possible na uh, uh, pagkukulang. Let's say for example, principle number 1 or first step is to conduct a hazard analysis, no? So, yung itong step na to, tinitingnan natin kung ano yung possible na mag-cause ng hazard. And then sa number 2 step is to identify the critical control points. Itong mga control points na saan yung mga points or within the part ng production or the part ng yung production procedures saan doon ang pinaka-critical. And then establish a critical limits. Next, establishment of monitoring procedure. And then if there are problems, number 5 is to establish a corrective actions. Kunwari, meron mga nakalusot doon sa first 2, 3, and 4 steps, makikita na magko-correct na agad para hindi na tuloy-tuloy doon sa pinaka-last, no? And then to establish verification procedures, and then to establish record-keeping procedures, no? So, itong last, to establish kung ano yung mga ginawa, yung mga proper recording to make sure na in the future kapag magkaroon ng problem, makikita natin kung saan ito nagkaroon ng problema. So this HACCP is very important also in the food industry, no? So one of the certifying for quality. So tandaan po natin itong HACCP na, and make sure that you know the principles of HACCP, the 7 principles of HACCP. Ito sa board exam na malabas sa food hygiene, no? Meron din ito nung aming exam, no? So ito, isang slide lang ito, isang topic. So let's proceed to another topic. Zoonosis, emerging infectious zoonotic diseases, and One Health, no? So Dr. Quiles already started the other day na mag-discuss about types of zoonosis, no? We all know we have anthropozoonosis. These are animal diseases that can be transmitted to humans, such as rabies. So anthro is humans, and zoonosis animals, no? So anthropozoonosis. Next, we compare it from zooanthroponosis, no? Transmitted from animals to from humans to animals. Okay. So anthropozoonosis, animals to humans. Zooanthroponosis, humans to animals. Para clear. Anthropozoonosis, anthropo saan ang galing? Anthro, human, to animals. Zooanthroponosis, saan ang galing? Zoo, anthroponosis. So, galing siya sa human to animals. Okay. Clear? Anthropozoonosis, galing sa animals to humans. Zooanthroponosis, from humans to animals. Baliktad. From humans to animals. And then amphixonosis, diseases that can be transmitted in any direction, man to human, human to animal. For example, staphylococcal infection. Zooanthroponosis, tuberculosis. Anthropozoonosis, example, rabies, no? And then euzoonosis. In some parasitic diseases, humans are obligatory host, no? Example, Taenia or Taenia solium or Taenia saginata. So, these are the different types of zoonosis based kung saan nagtatransmit is it between animals to humans, humans to animals, or sometimes vice versa. Again, anthropozoonosis, from animals to humans, zooanthroponosis, from humans to animals, amphixonosis, either way, and then euzoonosis, kung ang human ay obligatory host. Example ay Taenia solium and Taenia saginata, no? And then we have different types of zoonosis based on causative agent. Example, virus-borne, bacteria-borne, fungal, protozoan, trematodes, cestodes, nematodes, horny-headed worms, thorny-headed worms, arthropod zoonosis. And then based on transmission, it's either airborne, waterborne, foodborne, and soil-borne. And then based on the reservoir host, yung na-discuss natin, and then based on the reservoir host. And then we have the factors influencing zoonosis. We can just read this, read on this, no? So, ang pinaka lumalabas dito na laging nakikita ko sa mga reviewers, no? Itong types of zoonosis based on the reservoir host. Itong nalagay dito sa left. Okay? So remember itong apat na ito and make sure that you know the examples, no, of this type of zoonosis. Next, we proceed with the One Health, no? When I was in or when we graduated 2012, even with the when I was in the vet school, medyo nag-start na sikat yung One Health. This is an integrated, unifying approach that aims to sustainably balance and optimize the health of people, animals, and ecosystems. No, this is a interplay between human health, animal health, and the environment to make sure na healthy ang lahat. No, so this system or approach also made the veterinary profession mas makilala, no? It recognizes that the health of humans, domestic and wild animals, plants, and the wider environment are closely linked and interdependent. So, lagi natin naririnig itong One Health, no? So, the health of these three aspects, yung human, animal, and the environment, they are dependent from each other, no? So they are interdependent and also they are dependent on the environment. So last few years ago then, nag-start yung tinatawag na or concept na planetary health, no? Ibig sabihin, this is also a concept kung saan ang mga nangyayari, let's say for example, yung climate change and the different human activities and the environment in itong animal and human health, they are important in maintaining the planet healthy. So, baka may ano sa board exam na planetary health, no? So, the planet's health. So, hindi na lang yung tinatawag na One Health approach ang tinuturo ngayon. Meron na ding planetary health, no? So, ang pinakasikat dito, animal health, is antibiotics and antimicrobials, no? So, if you have some or if you have some time, you can just read more on this. Pero ang sa board exam it says na at least you know the concept of One Health, no? Ano yung mga involved? So, human health, animal health, and in the environment. No? Okay. So, let's look into the different zoonotic diseases, no? Under din ng One Health approach, no? So meron pang different classification of zoonosis. So it is based on their etiological agent, no? Na-mention ko din earlier, no? We have chlamydial, bacterial, viral, parasitic, mycotic, rickettsial, and protozoal zoonosis, no? Example ng chlamydial is Chlamydia abortus, Chlamydia felis, and Chlamydia trachomatis, no? Itong bacterial zoonosis, ang very common, Bacillus anthrax, tuberculosis, Mycobacterium bovis, and then Brucella abortus, no? Kaya kapag mayroong mga nag-abort na mga sow, careful. Hopefully, hindi ito dahil sa brucellosis, no? Sapagkat ito ay it can be transferred to humans. And then viral zoonosis, example, rabies, very common. So, it's been a year, it's been decades na we are combating or trying to eliminate rabies, pero hindi pa rin na achieve. And then we have influenza, flu, the different types of flu, swine flu. And then we have parasitic zoonosis, Ancylostoma brasiliense, and then Bailiscus ascaris procyonis, and Trichinella species, no? And then we have mycotic zoonosis, very common yung ringworm, Microsporum, Trichophyton, and Blastomyces, no? Yeah, dermatophytes, no? And then we have rickettsial zoonosis, Q fever, and then Prozoweki rickettsia, no? Protozoal diseases, Giardia, Leishmania, and Trypanosoma. So these are the different zoonotic diseases na very important na na we are encountering sa practice, no? And then we have some epidemiological terms such as disease surveillance and early detection, no? Um dito sa COVID-19, no? Doon sa COVID-19 pandemic, one of the problems sa atin was there was parang later siya na-detect kasi nga bagong-bago siya noong nagkaroon ng outbreak, na first outbreak. And during that time, wala pang na-employ ng ating government na surveillance system. Wala pang ginagawang collection of data with regards to this kasi hindi naman natin talaga alam. But I think when the first knew about the virus, then they started the surveillance, no? Although there are other diseases na they are doing surveillance, say for example FMD, anthrax, or other diseases like swine flu, bird flu. I think they have a surveillance system that are in place kasi when I was in LB doing my epidemiology subjects courses, no? So meron na topic na namin itong surveillance, no? And itong disease surveillance, there are different types. We have integrated surveillance. Kasi nga sabi natin One Health, and mostly itong mga epidemiological procedures or mga epidemiological surveillance na to, mostly na ginagamit those to those diseases na affected ang both animals and humans, so mostly mga zoonotic diseases. So itong integrated surveillance for early detection of diseases, merong tatlong aspects. We have the human health, we have animal health, and environmental surveillance. So itong surveillance, it is the simplest forms of or simplest form of collection of information for action, no? And if we say this is surveillance, this is surveillance of course a disease, no? So systematic process of reporting various diseases of public health importance as to when, where they occur, and to report to the designated agency responsible for taking effective interventional steps. So I know Bureau of Animal Industry and under sa BI, Bureau of Immigration, sa immigration sa NAIA, and other exit and entry points, they are doing these different surveillance na procedures, no, in collecting information. And then we have 3 R's of surveillance. We have recognition, reporting, and response. So, makikita natin dun sa airports, we have different ways kung saan nagkakaroon ng disease surveillance. So we have temperature check, no, we have different yung checklists, no, minsan yung mga immigration forms. Those are different examples kung saan they are collecting information for surveillance, no. So again, we have three aspects: a human health surveillance, kung saan they are checking the people that are at risk of the different diseases, no. And then we have animal health surveillance. They monitor livestock and wildlife and companion animals for signs of diseases. So doon kasagsagan ng ASF, sa swine fever, African swine fever. So I don't know if you've heard about the guinea pigs, or yung mga pigs na nilalagay nila doon sa mga susceptible areas, kung saan minomonitor nila yung mga pigs na yun, tinitignan nila kung hindi siya guinea pig, no, mga baboy, kung saan tinitingnan nila through time, minimonitor nila kung nagkakaroon ba sila ng sakit, no. So kapag nagkaroon sila ng sakit, so that's the way kung saan nasa-survey nila or na-check nila na meron ngang possible na magiging outbreak doon sa lugar na yon. And then we have the environmental surveillance, monitoring environmental factors that might harbor pathogens, no. So we can further describe this how we survey itong environment to the different patterns of the disease later on this presentation. Okay. So itong presentation natin, mga supplementary, tinitingnan ko lang yung mga table of specifications na doon sa each subject na yung mga hindi na-tackle sa lecture ng lecture sa that subject, para mai-emphasize ko lang, no. Okay. Next, we have the different emerging and re-emerging diseases, no. So you can check this figure with regards to the newly emerging, re-emerging, and deliberately emerging diseases that are important sa ating mundo, na that we are all involved, no. So ang pinaka-common na re-emerging and resurging are example one, antimicrobial resistance threats, no. We have this Clostridium difficile, Neisseria gonorrhea, MRSA, and I'm not familiar with this here, I'll check on that. So wag nating sabihin na parang gasgas na yung antimicrobial resistance, no. We are still having a problem with this antimicrobial resistant threats, kasi nga continuous pa din na we are deliberately using antibiotics na sometimes hindi important, no. And another problem with this is that the availability of these antibiotics na madali lang makuha, easy easy na ma-acquire, no, easy acquisition, even without a prescription, that's a problem, no? Although the group of pharmacists, they are trying to do their best na makontrol itong pagdi-dispense ng mga antibiotics, no? Although ang problema ngayon ay yung mga seller. Hindi yung mga pharmacies but mga seller, mga supplier ng mga antibiotics na to. Although if you are trying to buy from a supplier, sometimes they ask for a license to operate from the DOH, you know. Although hindi naman lagi, no, hindi naman ganun kay strict sa mga suppliers ng mga gamot, lalo na if you go to Bambang, if you want to acquire bulk, no, sabihin mo lang na you are from the clinic, and then what's the name of the clinic, then yung iba nagtatanong ng DTI, yung iba hindi na nagtatanong ng permit. Yun ang problem, no? So you can just fake a clinic, and then you'll just say na this is my clinic, you can register your name and etc. And then they can parang sell you like a bulk of those medications. So yun yung one of the problem with regards to this, no? Although there are legislations na ina-avoid itong possible na uh, indiscriminate selling and buying of antibiotics, kaso merong mga points kung saan nakakalusot pa din, no? Okay, so another I think they're of the same, no? You can just uh, read on this kasi meron yung mga questions na which of the following are emerging diseases, no? Dun sa board exam, which of the following are re-emerging diseases? So you can know kung ano yung mga emerging and newly emerging and deliberately emerging dito sa figure na to, no? And then part of the surveillance and early detection is diagnosis, no? And sabi natin dati, it's very important that there is an early or rapid diagnosis doon sa mga suspected diseases. Ang problema natin sa African swine fever nung nagkaroon tayo ng outbreak, yung diagnosis, no? I remember that time that kailangan pa nilang dalhin sa kailangan pa nilang dalhin yung mga samples sa Australia para malaman kung African swine fever nga, no. I was one of the active na nagbabaril sa social media, I think 2017 or no, during 2017 or 2018 nung nag-start itong 2018 ba? Basta 2017 nung nasa Vietnam ako, no. So I am one of the sa Facebook na nagkakalat with regards to the African swine fever kasi merong problem kasi hindi pa ata nila ma-declare kasi nga walang laboratory to declare sa Pilipinas during those times, no. So although I don't know kung they already have some measures na in place waiting for the results for the African swine fever laboratory, or from the foreign laboratory, no. So it's very important na early human diagnosis, animal diagnosis, and maganda yung environmental sampling natin para itong mga zoonotic diseases na to, they can be diagnosed early, and then if they are diagnosed early, we can create a program to mitigate yung possible na effect nito sa either human or animal, and we can plan or employ some measures para hindi na ito kumalat, no? So these are the different sampling uh, or diagnostic tools na pwede natin gamitin. We have molecular diagnostic tools. Ito yung very important, no? When we have outbreak of African swine fever, we have the outbreak of COVID-19, we realized, no, some public health officials realized the importance of this molecular diagnostic tools. Although even before this outbreak, sabi nila meron na tayong mga molecular diagnostic tools, molecular machines that can detect some viruses. Pero again, the accreditation, no, whether it's an OIE or the WHO accredited na laboratory, yun yung mga wala tayo in the early days and months of these diseases, no? Okay, and then if we diagnose the disease early, we can have these different measures, no? We have vaccination program, and then we have antimicrobial and antiviral treatments if it's bacteria or virus respectively, no? Ang problema doon sa COVID-19, we had the virus vaccines later part na, no? Yun yung problem with the new diseases, no, like COVID-19, no? New outbreaks, no, na hindi natin alam kung ano yung anatomy, the physiology, no, that those viruses na bagong na nagkaroon ng outbreak, no. So, with regards to ASF, no, matagal din nagkaroon ng vaccine, no. 20 so yung mga 2017, 2018 na yung height ng ASF outbreaks, no. But until now wala pang approved vaccine na para dito, no. So there are ASF vaccines that the government are trying pero hindi pa siya approved, no. Nag-start na I think if I'm not mistaken last month, no. So nag-start na sila na mag-vaccinate, no, na sample vaccination ng mga pigs para dito sa I think licensing kung effective ba itong ASF vaccine, no. So we have human vaccinations, no. We have animal vaccination, antimicrobial treatments, and then human treatment and animal treatment. Sa although sa COVID-19 walang animal vaccination, only human vaccine, no. So examples yung rabies, example lang pwedeng human and animals, we have the rabies na tinatry natin na i-eliminate, no, ever since. Although I haven't heard no human affecting a dog ng rabies. Pero we can eliminate rabies through vaccination sa animals, no. We can vaccinate or we are vaccinating humans just to protect them, no, kasi nga the moment na mapunta yung rabies sa humans and the once na magkaroon ng symptoms or signs humans, it's almost a death sentence, no. A death sentence na 99.9%. Only if you survive sa rabies, no. And then animal vaccination, implement widespread vaccination of animals, especially in domestic animals and livestock against diseases like rabies, anthrax, and brucellosis, no. Wildlife vaccination, we have oral baits for rabies, no. Lalo na sa mga wildlife in other countries like the US, no. And then sabi nga natin, control measure, intervention. Kung hindi natin na-prevent through vaccination, then we have to treat, no. So human treatment and then animal treatment, no. And then we have this 10 key policy recommendations to reduce risk of zoonotic diseases from UN, no? So we have awareness, governance, scientific inquiry, cost regulation, monitor and regulate, incentives, biosecurity measure, agricultural and wildlife capacity building, and One Health approach, no? So just go over these key policies, no? Meron na akong idadagdag later on yung sustainable development goals na makikita natin later, no? Okay, another part of ano no itong uh, measures, different measures, itong quarantine and isolation, no? So we know itong quarantine during sa COVID-19, we know that alam na ito yung anong ibig sabihin ng quarantine, no? Even those who are not sick, no? Dapat natin i-quarantine, no? So human quarantine, animal quarantine, although yung animal quarantine ay hindi masyadong ginagawa no sa mga papasok na animals. Let's say for example dogs coming from different countries mapapasok sa Pilipinas. I think dire-diretso na pwedeng makuha, no? Unless meron silang mga nakikita mga signs and symptoms ng diseases, then they may ask for quarantine. I-quarantine nila yung dog sa quarantine facility sa sa NAIA or other airport, no? And then we have wildlife population management, control of overly populated wildlife. Example, yung rabbit control sa Australia, no? And then animal culling pala, no? In case of uncontrollable outbreaks, culling of infected animals may be necessary to prevent the spread of diseases. So ginagawa ito mostly sa mga bird flu. Ginagawa ito sa African swine fever. African swine fever, no? So even with the healthy animals, upon looking, no, kinakal nila. There are specific radius na dapat within 1 kilometer radius pa ikal natin yung mga hayop na to prevent further spread of the disease, no? Ang problema uh, ang problema ng mga farmers, they are not well compensated, but at least there is a compensation, no? I don't know if you are one of the uh, farmers or vets that are affected with this culling, no? Next, we have environmental and ecosystem management. We have sanitation and waste management, vector control, example, mosquito and tick control, land use and habitat preservation. I just want to emphasize this vector control. Ang very common kasi or very good example ng mga diseases public health control concern are example nito malaria, Zika and Lyme diseases, and how to prevent the spread in humans. We have to prevent or control the vectors, and the example ng vectors are the mosquitoes and tick control. And I really love, I just want to show itong genetically modified mosquitoes, no? Kung saan they are modifying the gene of the mosquitoes para at least mabawasan yung possible na magdami pa ng mga uh, mosquito, no? So first they are introducing a hormone, no, or a chemical to the mosquito, and then the gene locks on the sequence and the X chromosome, no? And then that part of X chromosome is shedded, no? And then itong chromosome na to, it will favor the bearing of Y chromosomes para maging lalaki yung mosquitoes, no? So bakit kailangang lalaki, no? So as Dr. Earl mentioned, those who are biting, they are actually female mosquitoes, no? So yung mga nangangagat, they are females, no? Yung mga hindi nangangagat, they are actually males. Kasi importante yung blood for further reproduction ng mga mosquitoes na to, no? So remember, no, mostly na kumakagat sa atin uh, are female mosquitoes. So there are other ways, no, uh, genetically modified insects na ginagamit natin to control a certain uh, population and to further prevent yung spread ng diseases. Very good example itong mosquito. Okay? And then education awareness, no? Public health education, veterinary and farmer training, and then ecotourism, wildlife and ecotourism management, no? So again, itong concept of One Health, promote information sharing between human and animal health, and early response and control, education, early detection, and disease prediction, outbreak prevention, no? So these are the different types or different diseases na very common na pinag-uusapan kapag One Health. We have COVID, we have COVID, MERS-CoV, SARS-CoV, lahat ng coronavirus, avian influenza, HPAI, Zika virus, and chikungunya virus. And please take note of their uh, hosts, reservoir host, and their natural host. Okay, another framework, uh One Health framework, no? We have this from the UN, human, animal, and the environment, no? It's an interplay of the health of animal, individual, and the population, no? Okay. So it's very important that we have different government and international agencies that helps with this One Health framework, no? Although some problems with the the government na madami na tayong naririnig. Hopefully one of these days or in the future maging priority ang health, no? I realize dahil sa COVID-19, na-realize natin na we are very lacking of facilities, no? If I am the president, I would recommend na lahat ng municipalities and cities have their own, public hospitals, no? Kasi nalalaman natin na we are very weak with regards to to our health system, no? Okay. Itong legislative support na is very important, no? As I said, i-mention ko yung goals, sustainable development goals. Dati ito ay Millennium Development Goals, no? And ngayon nag-step up, nag-level up to sustainable, no? Yun yung mga goals natin dapat nung millennium, no? Na-reach na natin, and then these times dapat na sinusustain na natin itong goals na ito, although meron pa rin mga goals na parang hindi pa natin nare-reach, no? Hindi pa tayo sa level na sustaining these goals, no? So important sa public health itong sustainable development goal number 3, no? Good health and well-being, no? And then ano pa? Yes, uh, itong sustainable development goal number 3, no? So dito na pumapasok ang mga government or legislative support, government support, no? Ito dahil sa development goals nito, dahil sa mga goals nito, madaming mga aspect, no? One of the ways kung saan they are being evaluated, no? Sabi na we are a good city or we have a good practices kasi we are aligned with the sustainable development goals ng United Nations, no? Okay. And then we have emergency preparedness and response. No, ito rin ang lacking natin if there is a new outbreak, kung hindi natin alam uh, physiology, no, hindi natin alam yung anatomy, biologically, yung outbreak na yon, sometimes nagkakaproblema tayo, no? But although, hopefully, merong mga uh, plans o preparedness plans ang ating mga agencies, lalo na sa Department of Health, kung saan we can employ every time na meron ganitong mga outbreaks, no? And then outbreak containment, no? Well, they are very gamit na gamit when outbreak ng COVID started, no? Yung ano ba yun? Yung nilalak tayo, no? Anong tawag doon? Yung they limited the movement of the people, no? So one way of containing of the outbreak. Okay, example of zoonotic diseases and application of One Health, no, nasabi natin very common, rabies, avian influenza, and brucellosis, no? So can see very common examples itong rabies na hindi natin na eliminate or na puksa-puksa dito sa Pilipinas, no? Even though every year na meron tayong mga funds, millions of funds for this. Okay. So just to emphasize on rabies, we know that it starts from the bite of a rabid animal. Let's say, for example, this is a bear na kumagat dun sa dogs, no? And then the virus is inoculated into the bite site, and then the rabies virus enters these nerves, the motor neuron, and it travels through the nerve to the peripheral nerve, reaching the spinal cord, and then from the spinal cord it will multiply, and then it will eventually goes into the medulla oblongata and to the brain and then to the cerebral cortex, no? So parang ang tinatable nito is yung ascending tract sa nervous system, no? So it starts with the neurons to the peripheral nerve to the spinal cord and then to the brain, no? So I want to emphasize this, no, this speed of the travel of the rabies virus, no? Once it's inoculated into the bite site, no? Ito ay 12 to 14 millimeter per day yung kanyang movement, no? Until it reach the spinal ganglion where rapid viral multiplication takes place. Parang ito na yung stage 1, no? Stage 1 of the disease. From the inoculation site or from the bite site to the spinal cord, spinal ganglion, ito yung stage 1. And then stage 2 naman is from the spinal cord, kung saan madaming na multiply from the spinal cord, it travels to the brain, no? Ito na yung stage 2 and mas mabilis, no? Imagine 200 to 400 millimeter per day until it reaches the nervous system and salivary glands. And then from the brain, 'di ba? It ascends and then it descends. Ibig sabihin, pagka-reach na ng brain, kasi Wait lang. So from the bite site, it goes straight to peripheral nerve to the spinal cord to the brain. Once it reaches the brain, kakalat ulit from the brain to the other parts, no? It goes to it's either the spinal cord and then from the spinal cord to the other nerves. Yun yung behavior ng rabies virus, no? So remember, 12 to 14 millimeter per day is stage 1 and then 200 to 400 millimeter per day ang movement of the rabies virus to the nervous system. Okay, and just additional information, it binds to the neuroreceptors of acetylcholine, GABA, glycine, and the neurological manifestations na makikita natin sa patient, it starts, no? Okay. This is also from humans, no? So again, the virus is inoculated through the bite and it starts na mag-replicate doon sa muscles and then it goes to the peripheral nerves and then to the spinal cord, no? From the spinal cord, multiply again, still replication occurs from the spinal cord, no? And then it goes to the brain and then from the brain to the other parts, no? So remember this one, centrifugal spread along nerve glands, no? Kapag manage na yung brain, there will be centrifugal spread, no? And this one, dito natin makikita yung mga neurological symptoms na dun sa patient. Okay. So yan yung first part ng ating lecture for this morning, no. Now we can have a break for 5 to 10 minutes, no. You can have a coffee. Hopefully gising kayo, no. Okay, let's continue, no? So we start with veterinary epidemiology, no? If we talk about epidemiology, it is basically the study of diseases in a population. If it's veterinary epidemiology, it's the study of animal diseases in a population, no? So the key principle of veterinary epidemiology is ang disease hindi nangyari na randomly lang, no? Sometimes or most of the time it happens because there's a pattern, no? So there's a specific pattern sa population at certain times in specific locations. In other words, merong ito ang sabi ko pattern, no? So hindi lang biglaan lang nagkaroon ng sakit, no? No, there is a trend or there is a pattern of why or how these diseases happen, no? Yun yung ating concern with regards to epidemiology. So hindi siya sa individual animals, but it's on a population, no? Okay. So we have a question here. The causative agent of the zoonotic disease that caused an outbreak in the Philippines in January 2024. What is your answer? Just to start, no? Itong veterinary epidemiology. So the causative agent of the zoonotic disease that caused an outbreak in the Philippines in January 2024. No, bagong-bago sa Pilipinas, no, January, no. Yung monkeypox meron na siyang ano, hindi siya outbreak nung January, meron na siyang last year pa yung monkeypox, no. Very good, meron nang nakasagot, no. So itong zoonotic disease na ito, it's uh, uh, ano yun? Ano yung anong term niya? Wait lang. Ano yung sa Q fever, no? Sorry. Binasa ko na. So it's Q fever, no? Nagkaroon siya tayo ng outbreak ng Q fever noong January, and yung causative agent niya is Coxiella burnetii, no? And then since nagkaroon dito, nagkakaroon na rin ng surveillance yung mga una nating na-discuss, no? Sana lumabas sa board exam, no? Coxiella burnetii, Q fever, no? So now we continue with the patterns, no? We have different patterns of diseases based on the occurrence. We have sporadic, endemic, epidemic, and pandemic, no? And these are the very simple description of these patterns. Sporadic, on and off, bigla na lang sumulpot, and then biglang may sumulpot sa kabila, biglang sumulpot, no? Parang almost every diseases are index cases kung saan na nag-start. Although may mga questions kung bakit nagkaroon dito sa La Union, bakit nagkaroon sa ibang province, and then bakit nagkaroon sa ibang province. So parang sporadic siya na bigla lang sumusulpot. And then kung talaga magkaroon ng disease outbreak investigation, malalaman natin na merong pattern. It's either pattern ng mga travels, no, patterns on how those disease na nag-travel, no, kung sa tao. And then we have endemic, no, continuous or constant occurrence. Example, malaria. It's endemic sa atin na meron na tayong malaria, no. Also rabies, it's endemic dito sa ating lugar, no. And then we have epidemic, sudden increase in the number of cases in a short period of time. Example is the rise of dengue, no. Every now and then meron tayong mga dengue, so epidemic. And then pandemic, very good example is the COVID-19, no. Okay. So I just want to mention yung outbreak. What is outbreak? What is an outbreak, no? If there's a new disease dun sa community, that is already an outbreak. One or two cases or one cases, it's an outbreak. Kasi we are talking about the occurrence of the disease, no? Kapag wala pa yung disease doon, ito yung nagkaroon ng isa or dalawa, that's an outbreak. Meron din outbreak kung sakali, let's say for example, alam natin na yung normal na nag-occur ng na disease, let's say for example, dengue doon sa lugar is mga nasa 100. But then the normal occurrence of the disease ay sorry, if the occurrence sa certain period of time ay mas mataas, no? Doon sa normal level, usually merong diseased population, kapag mas mataas doon, we can call that an outbreak, no? So for example, alam natin na ang average normal na disease occurrence sa isang lugar ay excuse me, ay 100. Kapag nag-exceed na sa 100, we can call it an outbreak, no? So it's either pagka isang case, that can be called an outbreak. Kapag 1,000, that can be called an outbreak. Basta na-exceed niya yung mga normal na expected na cases sa isang lugar, no? So kapag mga bago, let's say for example itong Coxiella burnetii nung pumasok sa Pilipinas, hindi naman endemic sa atin, bigla na lang sumulpot, then we can call that an outbreak kahit isa lang yung case, no? Bakit kasi nagkaroon ng outbreak, no? Sometimes ang government din nagpapasok ng mga to, no? We have the different programs, the Department of Agriculture, ang BAI, no? Na pamimigay ng mga livestocks, no? I think doon din nagsimula itong mga outbreaks na ito. And then you have to know the spatial and temporal pattern of disease, no? Spatial, it refers to the space, and temporal, it refers to the time, no? Kung sa spatial, ano yung mga factors na makikita natin dun sa spatial pattern? It can be the distance, no? Space sa isang lugar, and then ano yung it can be really, is it parang terrain, is it highlands, yung mga yon, no? Those are the factors that is important in the spatial pattern of diseases, no? So meron bang mga factors itong spatial pattern, no? Let's say sa individual na lugar na province, rise ng case ng, let's say for example, rabies. Makikita natin 2018, I just researched this, no, and ito lang 2018 pa yung published na report with regards to rabies, no. Wala akong makitang more recent, no. Siguro meron sa Department of Health pero wala akong makita sa internet so far. Ang nakita ko lang yung sa na 5-year plan na strategic plan na until 2025, and ang nakalagay doon na cases ay yung 2018 na na cases, no? So you can see this, but hopefully meron akong ma-research na later na I'll try to get from PCMVLP kung meron silang record with regards to the number of cases sa later date sa 2023, no? So ito it has something to do with the space sa lugar. Very good examples ay province-wide, region-wide, no? Ito yung factors ng patterns of the disease. And then we have temporal pattern, no? It refers to the time. We know na parvovirus, leptospirosis, there are patterns, no? That affect merong patterns of the disease, merong trend of the disease, no? And malalaman natin na these trends, higher or lower trend, no? Or pababa, pataas, or pawala, no? At a specific time of the year, no? Say for example, yearly, no? So, yun yung temporal, refers to time. It can be yearly, it can be monthly, or it can be daily, no? Makikita natin sa parvovirus and leptospirosis at the onset or pag nag-start na yung rainy season or nagbabaha, we can also see the rise of we can also see the rise of these cases. Again, connected nga sabi natin dun sa One Health, no? So, I just want you to just know the difference of spatial and temporal, no? Let's say for example, terrain type of marshland, malapit sa dagat, uh, malapit sa bundok. So those factors are under spatial pattern, no? Kapag let's say for example, time of the year, season, let's say winter, summer. So it describes temporal pattern of the disease. Kapag mayroong mga question na ganun sa board exam, no? So it says the table of specification, at least you know the concept, spatial and the temporal pattern of disease. Now we proceed with the different epidemiological studies, no? Different epidemiological studies can be divided into two: the non-experimental or observational studies and the experimental or interventional studies, no? Under these studies, we have different types. We have ang common dito, uh, descriptive and analytic, no, under individual, no? Kahit hindi nyo alam yung population based or individual based, that's okay. No, we just go straight to descriptive and analytic, no? Descriptive, case reports, case series, you just describe a case, no? Ang case report, isang case na parang very very interesting. Let's say for example, yung case na doon sa clinic na parang na-open yung parang tinaga yung ulo and then na-open yung utak na tapyas, no? Tapos na tanggalan ng parts ng brain and then the surgery and then so far na ngayon nagso-survive. So that's very good case reports, no? Kasi wala pang nagre-report na ganun and very number one, complex and a very interesting case, no? I thought the patient will die kasi nga parang parts of the brain ay na debride, no? And then case series, no? Kung may sunod-sunod na case tayo na at least 5, then we can do case series. That's descriptive, no? It's just a description of the case kung anong nangyari. Let's say for example, upon presentation, you have these observations and then very good na malaman ng veterinary community, then you can report this. Kailan or saan natin i-report? Well, there's no such organization or where I don't know BAI or the DA or DOH, no, if you report it. No, I think you can just do the report for your satisfaction, no. Sometimes you do the case reports kasi parang requirement sa class. Merong mga nagpapasubmit ng case reports and meron ding let's say for example for diplomates, no, sa mga organizations, sa mga colleges, no, they require case reports, no, na kahit case reports lang, no. Ang problema sa atin, hindi tayo actively doing case reports or do research, no. Sa human medicine, I know na lahat ng mga doctors, they are required na laging nagre-research, laging nagre-report ng mga cases, no? Although we should report yung mga cases like with the public health importance. So for example, you suspect anthrax, bacillus, no? You have to report. Iba naman yung report na yun, no? I-report to the, sasabihin lang, oh, meron naming case na ganito, you have to verify. Iba naman yung case report, you have to do the case reports, parang meron siyang structure and then you have to, I don't know if you are required to do the publishing, you have to publish in a certain site or certain journal, no? Ayan. And then we have analytic studies, and under these analytic studies, we have the cross-sectional study or prevalence study, case control study or case reference, and then we have cohort study or follow-up study. So remember, observational studies, we have descriptive and analytic. No? Analytic, itong cross-sectional, case control, and then cohort. Yung descriptive, just describe the case reports, and case series. And then we have experimental. No? So alam natin, if you are experimenting on mice, no, on mouse, or other animals, this is experimenting. Let's say, for example, you give this certain drug to this animal, and then you give this placebo to this animal, and then you observe the difference. And then we have different types of experimental studies. We have randomized and then randomized. No, so randomized, controlled trial or clinical trial, and then non-randomized, the quasi-experimental, field trial, or community trial, no? Okay. So another description of these terms, no? Observational studies, you observe how these diseases go on its own, no? So usually you don't intervene, kung ano lang nakikita mo, that's what you report, no? And then we have descriptive studies limited to description of the occurrence of a certain disease in a population. And then analytical studies, you analyze the relationship, the correlation. Kapag ka nangyari ba ito, mangyayari po ba ito? Kapag nangyari ba yung, let's say for example, baha, kapag ka magbabaha ba, tataas din yung ganito. Yun. Those analytical studies. And then experimental studies involve an active attempt to change a disease determinant or the progress of the disease. That's why meron tayong placebo, we have control, and we have let's say for experimental, we have the different types, different dosing, no? So give this dose, give this dose. No? These are experimental studies. So we proceed with observational studies. Observational studies under analytic study. So we have cross-sectional, no? So parang forward, no? You have this study population, you check through time if they have the disease and if they don't have the disease. And then to those diseases, you check the factors or risk na meron sila, whether it's absent or whether it's present. And then yung mga disease naman na sa population mo, yung nagkasakit, titingnan mo kung meron ba sila yung factor na present and then factor na absent. And then malalaman natin na, let's say for example, sa mga no disease, wala sila yung factor, no? Factor X, no? And then yung mga my disease, they have this factor X. So you can conclude na the presence of this factor will lead this population or this animal to this certain disease, no? Parang ito ay prospective, no? You observe the study population, titingnan mo kung magkakasakit sila, and then kapag may nagkasakit, or walang nagkasakit, you check kung ano yung mga factor na pwedeng mag-lead to that certain disease, no? So dito, hindi mo pa alam kung may sakit, no? And itong cross-sectional, you know the study population. Let's say for example, lahat ng mga nagre-review ng for board exam, no? So after there are 100 students na nagre-review for board exam, after certain review time, like meron bang mga nag-develop ng ganitong sakit? Let's say for example, anorexia nervosa, and then next another let's say anorexia nervosa, no? And then yung walang anorexia nervosa, no? And then tingnan natin kung ano yung mga factor. Let's say for example, those students who reviewed 10 hours a day, nagkaroon ng nervous, so makikita natin kung mayroong correlation doon, no? That's cross-sectional. And then we have case control. So study begins from parang backwards, no? So now you have a study population, no? And then from this study population ngayon, makikita natin, let's say for example, so 100 na nag-review for the past 1 month, ito yung mga 100 na nag-review, makikita natin na meron na silang sakit na anorexia, and yung iba walang sakit, no? Tingnan natin kung sa previous review nila ano yung mga ginawa ng mga nagkasakit, ano yung mga hindi ginawa ng mga nagkasakit, and then we can correlate, no? So we review the history of those animals, or there's, say, humans, kung human ang ating mga population, no? So that's case control, no? So we mentioned, or I mentioned before, na ang gamit natin na ay gamit natin ditong type of research na to or study is yung co co case control. Ito ay gagamitin natin yung odds ratio, no? And then we have the cohort study. Gagamitin natin to yung relative risk, no? So ito namang cohort study, ngayon para siyang case control, no, kasi prospective siya, no? So we have a study population free of the disease, no? And then we have to follow in the future. Titingnan natin yung mga factor na meron sila, no? Let's say for example, yung more than 10 hours na nagre-review, and then 5 hours na nagre-review, meron bang difference, no, or meron bang correlation na magkakaroon sila ng sakit or hindi magkaroon ng anorexia nervosa, for example, no? So study begins here sa present, and you have to follow those samples, no? Titingnan mo yung mga population kung magkakaroon ba sila ng sakit, na alam natin na meron silang factors. Alam natin na magre-review sila ng certain amount of time. So ayun. So ito ay parang we follow these samples to check whether they will develop the disease or not. So again, ang ginagamit natin nito ay relative risk. Cohort, relative risk, cohort, and then case control, odds ratio. Okay, we're talking about the epidemiological studies, and I just want to mention na say epidemiological studies, of course, hindi natin, if we are talking about the population, we cannot uh we cannot ano we cannot use all the population na experiment natin, no? That's why we have this sampling, no? So we get a sample, a certain number of sample that is representative ng buong population. Let's say for example, there are 1,000, no? 1,000 population sa isang community, and we want to study the disease. Kasi it's time consuming, and it's more expensive if we include all the 1,000 na population, no? Yung sampling, yung concept ng sampling is we get a certain number of sample lang, and kapag ginawa natin ito sa kanila, it can represent the whole population. Ibig sabihin, kapag ginawa natin na 1,000 yung sample natin, the same pa din yung result niya if ang ating sample ay 10, no? Yun yung concept ng sampling, no? Okay? So it's a process of selection, no, of individuals that is a characteristic of the whole population, no? Kapag ka nangyari yung event doon sa sample natin, sa 10, ibig sabihin ganon din ang mangyayari doon sa whole population. Then we can say na this one is effective or this one is not effective, parang ganun, no? So we have the different type na individual sampling unit. We have the group sampling unit, cluster sampling, and then we have stratified sampling, no? So we will know this further, no? So there are different types of sampling methods. Probability sampling and non-probability sampling. And then we have these different types, simple random, no? Pumili ka lang ng 10, no? And then clustered sampling. So sa 1,000, they are divided into 100. So mayroong 10 clusters, no? Doon sa 10 clusters, you can get one from each cluster kung need natin ng 10, no? And then we have systematic sampling. Let's say, for example, my systems, no? Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After 5, no, sa bilangin natin ng 1,000, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the 6. Yun yung kunin mong sample. And then 5, 6, 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then parang 12, no? 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, yung pwede yun, systematic, meron siyang system. And then stratified, no? Sometimes they can be interchanged as cluster, no? So merong strata, no? So parang 100 or 10 strata din, and then from the strata you can pick a samples. And then non-probability sampling, no? Walang probable, no? So you convenient sampling, no? Yung first 10 na samples, ayun yung problem kapag convenient sampling, no? We don't know if it will represent let's say for example yung sa spatial, no? Kung saan ba nanggaling, let's say for example yung 1,000 na samples natin na population, kung galing lang sa let's say for example yung 1,000 from yung population ng NCR, no, yung 1,000. And kapag ka-convenience sampling, sabi mo 10 lang from yung first 10 lang, no, kasi very convenient. So yung first 10, paano yung first 10 sampling ay galing lang sa QC. So parang ang disadvantage nun, hindi niya na-represent yung other areas, no. Parang may possibility kasi na kapag convenience sampling, isang lugar lang. So that affects dun sa kung i-imply natin sa buong population, no? Consecutive sampling, sometimes it can be from the same as systematic sampling, no? And then we have quota sampling kapag ka nakakota na, and then purposive, and then snowball sampling. These are non-probability sampling. So sa board exam naman tinatanong which of the following is an example of non-probability sampling method. Ayun yung mga possible na question, no? Or let's say for example from the researcher picked now 10 random people that na isasali niya sa kanyang research. So that's simple random sampling, no? Parang ganun na questions. And then doon sa studies, we have bias, no? We have selection bias, detection bias, information bias, and misclassification and recall bias, no? So ito, hindi natin maiiwasan na there is always a bias dun sa mga research, and sabi ko hindi natin maiiwasan, no? So I just want to mention this kasi you have to know at least itong bias sa epidemiology. Okay. Ayan, doon yung quick emphasis doon sa epidemiology. Now, we proceed with immunology, no? So, sa immunology, immunoglobulin, this is a protein produced by the B cell of the immune system that function as antibody that defends the body against pathogens, no? Itong immunoglobulin. And this immunoglobulin has different parts. We have antigen binding site. Kapag antigen binding site, alam natin FAB, no? Ito mostly mga tanong sa exams, no? Where is the antigen binding site? It's FAB region, no? Okay? And then where is ito yung binding site, no? And we have this complement binding, saan nagbabind yung complement. It's the constant region, no? Or FC fragment, no? So just to be familiar, familiar kayo sa FAB fragment or FC fragment, no? Alam natin yung again binding site where the antigen will bind to this immunoglobulin, no? Okay? And then it's very important for you to know the different types of antibodies. We have IgG, IgA, IgM, IgE, and IgD. May mnemonic dito is gamed, gamed, gamed. And it's very important for you to know the different description, no, of these immunoglobulins. IgG, no, highest opsonization and neutralization activities. No, classified into 4 subclasses, IgG1, 2, and 3, and 4. Next, IgM, produce first upon antigen invasion, increases transiently. Kapag mayroong infection, ang unang-una is IgM, and then kapag second infection, IgG. Okay? And then IgA, expressed in mucosal tissues, forms dimer after secretion. Remember, mucosal tissues, IgA. IgE, involved in allergy. And then IgD, unknown. No? Di alam. IgD, di alam. Di alam. Okay. I have a lot of tables here for you to be familiar para ma-emphasize natin. Again, IgM, siya yung pinakamalaki, no? Pinakamalaki, monomer, pentamer, 5. Pentamer, no? IgM, membrane-bound immunoglobulin on the surface of immature and mature B cells. First antibody produced in a primary response to an antigen. First antibody produced by the fetus, no? Efficient in binding antigens and fixes complement, I think. Classical complement activation, no? IgM. IgD, it's a monomer, no? No biological effector function known, no? So makikita ito sa surface of mature B cells. And then IgA, the monomer, dimer, no? Predominant antibody in class in secretions in saliva, tears, milk, and mucosa. First line of defense against infection by microorganism, no? Next, IgG. Ito yung pinakamadami, no? Take note, no? Sa serum, ano yung levels yung may pinakamadami, no? We have IgJ, monomer, sorry. Crosses the placenta. The only immunoglobulin that crosses the placenta, IgG. And then IgE, not only for allergy, also for parasite infections. It's found mainly in tissues. Another description, no? Different authors. Percentage of serum. Pagkita natin 80% yung sa IgG kanina, no? 85%, no? Pero almost the same, ang pinakamadami it should be IgG, IgA, M, E, and then D, gamed. So complement system, IgG and IgM. Transplacental passage, again, I'm going to emphasize more on this. The only immunoglobulin that crosses the placenta, IgG. And then the only immunoglobulin that so opsonization, no? Highest opsonization and neutralization activities is IgG, no? Okay? And then, ano yung pinakamalaki? Again, sinabi natin yung IgM, no? So, biggest, IgM. Next, IgA. And then E. And then G and D, no? So, ito yung molecular weight nila. And itong IgM kasi nga pentamer, kaya ito yung pinakamalaki, no? Pentamer, dimer, it makes sense na second yung IgA kasi dimer siya, no? Ito, 80 naman sa kanya. Yung isang author 85, yung isang author 75, and then ngayon 80%, no? But again, it's the same na pinakamadami sa serum would be the immunoglobulin, no? So again, yung immunoglobulin that fixes complement IgG and IgM. Again, primary response kapag primary attack, IgM ang mauna, and then pagkatapos IgG yung susunod response, no? And also binding site, it also makes sense na madaming binding site kasi nga malalaki itong IgM. And then susunod na madaming number of binding site would be IgA kasi nga mas dimer siya, no? Mas madaming binding site. So 10 ang binding site ng IgM, 4 ang IgA, the rest all of them are 2 yung anilang binding site. Next, principles of vaccination, no? Principles of immunization. It denotes the process of inducing or providing immunity artificially, no? It's protection from diseases, especially viral diseases, no? And itong viral immunization are very specific to single antigen, no? So, na-mention kagabi that there are two types of vaccination. We have the passive and active vaccination. Kapag passive, we just give the immunoglobulin, and then we are expecting that the animal will be productive, no? Sometimes this is dose dependent, no? Kapag madaming na bigay doon sa puppy, let's say for example na immunoglobulin, then it's protective. Another type is active immunization or active vaccination. So ang active immunization, it can be by giving a portion of a virus or that infectious material. Example, viral material. Yun yung inoculate, binibigay, in-inject sa patient para mag-mount siya ng immune response. Let's say for example, merong foreign doon sa kanyang katawan, pagka may foreign part ng virus, the body or the immune system will produce a certain antibody for that, no? Ma 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 para ma-recognize niya as a foreign to the body, then it can produce a response. Kapag nag-produce ng response, ang outcome will be to produce antibody, no? Kapag ka first na may introduce sa kanya, it will be IgM and then eventually IgG. So, kapag ka ano ng immune response, it will be a protective one, no? So, another type ng another type ng active immunization would be pagkakaroon ng sakit, no? Kaya yung sinasabi natin dati na parang mas maganda na magkasakit lahat para sa Earth para magka-mount ng protection sa lahat para mawala yung disease, no? So that's one. So ang process, active na process yung pagkakaroon ng sakit. Ibig sabihin, nagiging active, no? Yung virus na mismo yung nasa katawan mo, and it's either two outcome, you survive or not kapag sa human, no? If you survive, you develop immunity or develop immunoglobulin to that certain disease na in the future, pwede kang protected na doon sa sakit na yon, no? Is it always 100% na in the future hindi ka magkakaroon ng sakit? Depende, no? If you mount an immune response and meron ka ng protection on that specific virus, okay, that's good, no? However, kapag second exposure, kapag na-expose ka in the future, it depending din, it's either magkasakit ka or pwedeng hindi ka magkasakit depending sa state ng health mo. Although meron kang immunoglobulin on that specific disease or specific virus, pero kapag other aspect naman sa iyong katawan or sa immune system ay mababa, then possible na you can still have the disease or magkakasakit ka pa din, no? But it's either magkasakit ka and then mabilis na ma mawala yung sakit na yon, or you can survive pero matagal yung combat mo dun sa sakit, no? And then we have the different types of vaccines: live attenuated, inactivated, no, purified, and then we have toxoids. Examples of these are no, tuberculosis, live attenuated. Ang pinaka ano natin, ayaw natin is yung live attenuated, no? Live attenuated, they are parang ano lang, nabawasan lang yung pagiging yung virulence nila, no? Will it cause a disease, no? Rare, I think, you know. And then inactivated, killed antigen, no? And then we have purified, only part of the antigen. And then we have the toxoid, the tetanus example. Okay. So that's vaccination. And then doon sa doon sa table of specification kasi na-mention yung to describe or at least alam niyo yung mga immune mediated disorder, no. Example of immune mediated disorder is secondary immune mediated hemolytic anemia. So kapag ka autoimmune disorders, so these are disorders kung saan ang nagko-cause ay yung overactivity of our immune system. Let's say for example, itong immune-mediated hemolytic anemia, kapag ka merong, let's say for example, parasite, bacteria, na nandoon sa surface ng ating red blood cells, ang nangyayari, the immune system will attack the red blood cells, thinking na iyon ay foreign kasi meron something doon sa red blood cells na sinisira nila. Oh, this is a defective one kasi meron siyang ganito, parang bacteria na nakakabit doon sa red blood cells. And then ang outcome, kapag sinisira ng katawan natin yung ating red blood cells, tapos kasi nga thinking na those are foreigners kasi merong silang mga dala-dala, it will lead to immune-mediated hemolytic anemia. Ang pinaka common na symptom or signs dito is yung pagkakaroon ng unexplained anemia, no? Very very low yung kanyang red blood cells. And one of the management of this is yung pagbibigay ng steroid treatment. Let's say for example prednisone, no? Just to slow down yung ating immune system on attacking the own cells, no? Let's say for example sa dogs, cancers, parasites, toxins, or there's an allergic reaction, no? Okay? So yan example ng immune-mediated autoimmune disease, no? Autoimmune disorder. Another example is immune-mediated thrombocytopenia. The same, no? So if these platelets na produce na recognize ng immune system na foreign or defective, it will act on these platelets and it will destroy its own platelet, and mababa na yung number of platelet. So ang treatment dito ay steroid. So another example will be this one, autoimmune skin disease, no? It's either pemphigus, very common example is pemphigus, no? This will respond on the prednisone treatment. Okay? So, yun yung autoimmune disease, no? Autoimmune disease, you are, or the body is acting on itself, no? And it causes diseases, no? Lupus, example, no? And then we'll proceed to the different diagnostic tests, no? So these diagnostic tests detects infectious diseases. So ano may mga different diagnostic tools? We have the conventional tests and then we have the point of care tests, no? Dito sa bacterial and fungal diagnosis, no? Ito yung mga ginagamit natin. We use culture also for viral, no? Viral culture, bacterial culture, fungal culture. We have antibody test, molecular techniques, and then we have HTS, no? But I am not very familiar with this, no? So we have the culture, very ano lang, you just inoculate in a certain media, and then you can see if there's a growth, then that's a culture. Then you can see it's positive or negative. And then we have antibody test, latex agglutination, immunofluorescence, ELISA, multiplex, and ultrasensitive. Yung mga test kits natin, usually they use immunofluorescence or ELISA, no? And then molecular techniques, yung PCR, no? And then point of care test, we have biosensors, electrochemical. I do not use this. Lateral flow chromatography, yung mga test kits, ginagamit din natin, no? And then microfluidic chips, I am not familiar with this. So, different tests to detect bacterial diseases and fungal diseases, viral diseases also. So there are different diagnostic tests for viral diseases. Examples are this disease, tuberculosis, manto, plague, Wasson stain, no? Brucellosis, COMS, no? Very common. Typhoid test, typhoid Widal test. Then scarlet fever, Dick test, and diphtheria is a Schick test, no? Just be familiar with this. And then we have fungal diagnosis using histopathology, no? We have histopathology. You can just read on this. We have the fungal culture, no? We are using the dermatophyte test medium doon sa mostly sa dogs, no? So what are the dermatophytes? We have Microsporum canis, Microsporum gypsum, and then Trichomyton mytographites, no? Ang very common sa kanila is canis. I think this is 70% are from my M canis, 20% M gypsum, and then 10% mentagrophytes, no? Yung occurrence or most common 70% tong M canis, 20% tong gypsum, and 10% yung mentagrophyte. And then with the detection of yeast, we have culture, no? So we have this different test, no? Kapag positive sa germ test, chlamydophores, no? And then if kapag nagka-accumulate ng sucrose, kapag positive, C. albicans, and kapag negative is stelloidea, no? Chlamydia albicans, and then Chlamydia stelloidea, no? Kapag ka negative sa germ test, it's either Candida, no? Okay. And then we have urease test, no? Kapag ka positive, Trichosporum, no? Kapag ka negative, Geotrichum. Then another, kapag ka walang hyphae na nag-grow, na kapag i-test natin further for urease test, no? Kapag ka positive sa urease test, we can test for caffeic acid test, no? Kapag ka positive sa caffeic acid test, Cryptosporum, no? Cryptococcus neoformans. Kapag ka negative, other species of Cryptococcus, no? And then if positive sa urease test and orange to red colonies, then you can say that it's Rhodotorula, no? And then kapag ka negative sa urease test, that's Saccharomyces, no? Ito yung mga common, Cryptococcus, Saccharomyces, Candida, and then Chlamydia or Chlamydophila. Okay. So I think that ends the supplementary lecture. Again, I'm not very well versed or hindi ako expert dito sa microbiology, but I know that microbiology is kind of difficult na subject sa board exam kasi ang daming percentage na sa kanya and madaming coverage. That's why I just want to parang pasadaan itong mga topics na ito na at least meron kayong mga idea, no? Kahit concepts lang or kahit hindi in depth para at least dun sa board exam meron kayong may sasagot whenever na ito ay may tanong, no? So uh, that ends this morning's supplementary lecture, no? Do you have any questions? Okay. Thank you, Doc, no. Doc, nababasa ko ito sa discussion sa Q&A, no, sa state boards. Yes, thank you, no. So ito kasi yung public health very important. Ay isang nagre-review din dito, sabi niya ang dami daw na about sa epidemiology and public health na lumabas nung nag-exam sila last year. So I just want to give some uh, parang at least overview of these topics. And another supplementary lecture ay sa Thursday, no? I tapped a I tapped a food technologist na nagtuturo sa veterinary medicine sa mga veterinary students na talagang alam na alam niya. Hopefully ma-discuss niya further yung aspect ng food hygiene na pasadahan din ni Doc Denver, no? So, habang tayo nagre-review, I'll try to uh, tap yung mga lectures about different topics and if we have time, if we have uh, good parang timing, then isa-isa kong i-present sa inyo para lang additional information, no?